So, what if, when you're generating with Marky, it already knew about all your products, it knew about all your imagery, it knew about your history of your company, it knew about new initiative you're doing, and it can just speak and post about all that type of information? Well, that's where the library comes in. I'm Eli, and today I'll be showing you through how Marky's library system works and how can you leverage the library system to make the most out of Marky and generate awesome posts that are on brand and talking about exactly what you want them to talk about. So I'm in Marky here, and I'm just looking at some posts that Marky generated for me. And here's one where it's talking about we are opening up our beta program. It talks about how you can apply, it gives a call to action, who's joining us. So a great post. I never told it directly about this office hours, but if I look into the inputs here, I can see it has an attached file and it says February office hours. So apparently somewhere in that office hours, we probably announced our new beta program, talked about how that worked and everything. And now Marky's just generating posts about that topic. So that's part of the power of your library, where Marky can generate posts and have the context it needs to create super applicable, on point posts for your brand. So let's go look into the library. Here I have the library, and this is kind of like a folder system for anything that is something that you'd want to post about or have Marky know about when it's generating posts. In here, I have a whole bunch of stuff that I've set up already. Now, most accounts, we auto create files for you, so you should have a little bit in here, but where Marky really shines is when you get your library built out and add a lot of context for Marky to pull from. In this library, we can look at different files we have. You can add photos. So here's a photo bank that I've added these photos to Marky. You can add context. So I've added those call recordings. So here's our office hours, and this was just a transcript from the office hours. So it's included that in here for reference, and also has things like websites and different types of information about our team and resources that people can have. So lots of variety of content that you can have in this library. And the more you add, the better, because Marky's going to know how to use that information. Now, not only can Marky auto use that information when you're generating posts, but you can also use that information when you're creating posts yourself. So there's this generate box that you can type in, make me a post about some common questions people have regarding Marky. Now, you can include files directly as you're generating posts. So in this case, I could click the add and I can browse all my files right here. Now, I have some FAQ files already that I've added. So let's include just like one of those, maybe the getting started one. And I'm just going to send this into Marky. So it generated some ideas for me. And you can see that it is automatically pulling from all these different sources for more information about common questions people ask. So here I can see it's pulling in some information about the FAQ from the just getting started, but it also is including information about agency features. In this post, explain which platforms Marky supports. It's referencing an office hours document. Maybe we talked about that in that office hours. It's referencing different social media information we have and FAQ. Down here, share customer feedback on why Marky outshines other AI. So we've had that FAQ. So it kind of mixes some of the FAQ information with testimonials and other information. So that's the power of your library. It's can get included whenever you generate posts and just gives a lot of extra information for that post to draw upon. Now, say in this step, I wanted to add a little bit more information. Maybe I wanted to include this pricing FAQ into one of these. I can drag and drop that, and now it's included. Or if I wanted to remove something, I can remove it from there. So it kind of gives you a step that you can have a little bit more control. Now, whenever you're auto-generating posts in Marky, just clicking that big generate button, that's going to do the exact same thing you're seeing here, where it's going to scan your library, it's going to find relevant information, and it's going to include that in your posts. So here we can see those posts that Marky generated. One that, speaker audience's language, it saw in that FAQ and information about how Marky can produce posts in multiple languages. It also sees, let's see, this one. So it's pulling in some of the testimonials we had in our library and creating posts with that. So then I can create those posts. So that's kind of the power of the library. You can use it to create content. And also in that flow, I showed most of how it uses the content, but it can also use imagery. So if you have a product and you have information about that product, you can add images to any kind of file in your library here. And then now when it's going to be posting about that product, it can also include those images. So here, just to show that real quick, I added this Stranger Things t-shirt, and I can drag this in and say, make a post promoting this t-shirt. So here it created some posts about that product. You can see that it's pulling in those images from that product, and then it's also writing captions that are based on all those details about that product. So this is a super great way to also kind of organize your content. And then if you're managing, different houses, different cars, different products, e-commerce, especially any of those fields, this feature can be super useful for you to help you make sure that you're posting and help Marky post about specific products with specific images for those products. So that was the high level about how this library can be used and the benefits of this library. Let's look a little bit more about what it looks like to be managing this content and to be setting up your library. So in Marky here, I've kind of started our setup for our library. We have just a general photos section here for general imagery I want to be using in our posts. We have one for just some illustrations. Now on any image grid, there's also alt text. So you can, we'll automatically be setting up this alt text, but that is also kind of how the AI knows which images to use for which posts. So you can preview the alt text, edit the alt text if you want for your imagery. It's also nice because whenever you hover over images, you can see the alt text. So for people that, maybe you're dealing with a lot of cars, you want to be very specific about what cars are getting used with what posts, you can at least see kind of the alt text and make sure that you're using the right product images. In Marky, we set up some different files and different FAQ stuff, and kind of you can organize this however you want, and Marky is going to be smart enough to know how to scan it, how to search for the right files. So that's how you can manage and organize. You can organize it however you want. This is just what made sense to me, but lots of different options there. Now, if you want to add a new file, you just click new, and then you'll have this menu here. You can choose what files to add. Maybe I just want to add a testimonial, so I can click that. Adds a testimonial file. I can type in a name. Maybe this is a testimonial from George. Put his name, the quote from him. If you have a link to that specific place or testimonial, Marky can use that in the post as more context. But either way, I can also add an image. So if I had a picture of him, I could add that there. So that's how you add a new file. There's also lots of different types of file options. So down here, there's this more types button. If I click that, that opens this type library. And there's a lot of file types that you can pull from. In here, I can see which ones I currently have active, which ones are available. And the types are just the types of files, the types of data that you're going to be having in your library. So in Marky, I've already added a decent number of types, but say I was wanting to sell a house or rent out a house, I could add a property type, and that comes preset. It's like a preset form with all the details about a property. So depending on your industry, what kind of business you're running, there's menu items, there's business announcements. You can add vehicles, maybe courses if you're, running educational content. Lots of different options. So definitely take a look through the library and add the ones you like. Now, we covered the adding manually option. That's good. That's great, but it can be a little tedious to do that sometimes. So there's this import from source option. If I click that, I can choose anything to import from any source. So you can import from a variety of sources. You can do website, PDF, even just straight text if you have like a document or something. But in this case, I'm going to show you, I have this link to this website that is a store page, and we're just going to import a product. So I'm going to click import, and Marky's going to scan that page, and then each product it finds, in this case, it's just one product on that page, so it'll just create one product file. But you can also just put your landing page in there, and import content from there. You can put blogs. There's a lot of different types of content you can try to import. And so once that's done importing, you'll see the new file show up. This has some of the content just from the web page. And then it also has content from the product itself. So here I can see the image of the product. It has some of the details about the product. And then I can just go ahead and generate with that right off the bat. So that's a little bit about how you can use the import option to quickly get the types of files and set up your library. You can also, import any kind of file that you have in your library. You can import, and then you can organize it in your file system. A few other smaller features that I'll cover real quick that will be helpful as you're going and getting your library set up. One is that if you have certain types of imagery or content that you want in your library, but you're not actively using, maybe it can be like logos of your logo that you want to be able to use in your posts, but you don't want Marky to automatically pull from, or maybe it's some context that is about a specific limited time event that you want to include when you need it, but you don't want Marky automatically including it. Well, you can exclude any file from Marky's context. So I'm in Marky here. I select a file and I can right click, and this one I've excluded it. So you right click, you click exclude from context, and you'll get this notice that it's excluded and it won't be automatically used when generating content. And this one just has a whole bunch of general branding kind of stuff for Marky. So now I can use this in any post when I'm manually including an image, but it's not going to automatically use these as like random images in my posts. Maybe if I didn't want to talk about these content pillars, or didn't want to use this office hours, I can do the same thing for any kind of post in Marky, and that's just a way to not include it when you're generating posts. Also, in any posts that you're creating, you can access the images from your library. So if I click library here, I can access all these images. I can sort it, search it by the alt text, and just find all my images here. Also, when you're editing, if I wanted to replace this, I can search library, and now I get all my images from my library that I can use in these posts. If you're on the home page here, you can also access that panel right here, and you can still include everything from your library. So easy way to generate new posts and include things from your library. And one other thing I thought I'd mention, for our more advanced tiers, we do have some options to create your own file types and edit file types. Now, we'll have a separate video covering that in depth, so you can look at that if you want to learn more, and that's only for the more advanced tiers. So yeah, that's the library. It lets you create context for Marky to pull from when it's going to generate those posts. So hopefully you learned something in this video, and yeah, good luck with getting your library set up, and always feel free to reach out to support or chat if you have questions on how this works or how you can maximize your library. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.